Entrepreneurs. This is Miss Kodagodi here, and
Mr. Sassine.
we're just going to discuss the assessment criteria for you today for your first assessment task for entrepreneurial studies. So let's get straight into it. We're on the Learn page here. When you scroll down, you just hit the Assessment Task tab. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you can find the very first assessment task for 2018. So the assessment task is called Modern Business Consultancy. And once you click on the tab, you'll see it. It's worth 25% and it will be due on the 14th of May on a Monday, which is week 3, and it has to be submitted. The written component of the assessment has to be submitted by 7 p.m. via Learn. The written component of the assessment is 1,200 words maximum. Any words beyond this will be read and you'll get feedback, but you won't be marked at any words above 1,200.
Okay, so let's look at what this task is actually assessing. These are the skills that we're really looking for. First of all, how well you describe the different forces that are shaping businesses in the modern world. Then we want to look at how well you can explain how a business or industry will be shaped by these different forces. We also want to see how well you can propose strategies that a business could take to succeed in the future by utilizing these forces. And the major part for us is really how well you can effectively and professionally communicate in both written and spoken means. So this is the pitch part. And of course, the way that you write your answers. So it's a research task based on the 3 forces that we've just covered. It's an individual task, not a group task. All of the time over the next 2 weeks will be devoted to completing the task in class. So you will be given a lot of time, and we do expect the task to be completed to a higher standard. There will be some guru sessions available on the Learn page over the next 2 weeks as well that can assist you. And of course, Miss Kay and I will be here to help you as well. So let's discuss why we're doing this task. When we did some research, we realized that Oxford University and Deloitte looked at the risk of automation over the next 20 years. And those jobs with a 94% risk or higher include things like telephone salesperson, legal secretary, financial accounts managers, and market research interviewers. The risk of automation for a management consultant and a business analysis is at a very low 7%. So that's what this task is about. It's about you behaving and thinking like a management consultant and a business analyst. You'll be required to first analyze current and upcoming trends in the modern business world, i.e. the 3 forces, and then provide consultancy advice for a hypothetical business, such as your pitch. So a key component of being a management consultant is your ability in being able to convincingly communicate your idea. And the Washington Post recently reported an increase in the number of people on LinkedIn, which is a professional networking website, who lacked effective communication skills. And this is something that we want you to have, not to lack in, but to have really great communication skills. The CEO of LinkedIn believes that all employees need to be digitally fluent, which means that they have proficiency in designing presentations, manipulating spreadsheets, and navigating social media. So this task will require you to use the pitching style of presentation to convince a hypothetical business of your business idea. So the business is called Threads, and you are going to provide them with a strategy for success in the future. You need to put together a convincing and professional proposal to the board and the CEO of Threads outlining what the future of their business could look like and strategies that the business could take up to succeed in the future. And we want to emphasize this part, to succeed in the future. So you need to say how those strategies will actually assist them in succeeding in the future. So let's read a bit about Threads. They're a Sydney-based fashion company. They design and manufacture a wide range of mid to high-priced clothing and accessories. They've had much success in the Sydney market through their seasonal design philosophy and effective personalized service. The heart of their business is creating clothes that people want to wear and providing a complimentary service in-store to create a personal style guide individualized to a customer's tastes and preferences. So as a result of their success, they've actually garnered the attention of a wide range of investors who have offered to provide funds for Threads for their next level of development.
So let's chat about the structure. I want to make this very clear. You have to pick 2 forces, and you have to make sure that those 2 forces are the same 2 forces you use throughout this assessment task. So if you choose globalization, Make sure you don't use that throughout your whole assessment task. Let's chat about question number one. Question number one is description of 2 forces that are shaping the modern business world with a maximum of 600 words. So what you need to do is you need to choose either technology, globalization, or modern thinking, define them, use some examples, and never forget, to use Harvard-style referencing, which we will be going through in class through a guru session as well. So question number 2, let's get straight into it. It's also 600 word maximum, and you'll be explaining how the 2 forces you've chosen in question 1 will assist the company Threads in improving its financial situation. So let me just make this clear one more time. In question 1, you don't need to refer to the case study. In question 2, you need to ensure that you're referring back to Threads. So you're going to think about, as a business consultant, how are you going to improve the financial situation of this business by looking at 2 things. So I've created a table here for you, and I want you to use this table to scaffold your argument. So you're going to split it up into 2 sections. What opportunities does Threads have? So what kind of trends can you research that will help the business increase its sales and therefore potentially its profits as well? And then conversely, on the other end, what threats does Threads have? So what things in the market, what trends are happening that could potentially lead to a decrease in profits or sales for Threads? So can you remember for this section also that the opportunities and threats that you choose have to be complemented by research, and every time you research something, you're using anyone else's influence, you need to make sure you're using Harvard-style referencing. It's in text. So one more time, we will teach you how to do that as well. And don't forget, you have to be very specific about what trends you're using. So if you're using globalization again, make sure you're making that very obvious as one of your trends.
All right, so let's move to the exciting part, the pitch, what we've been practicing all of term 1. And so you will be standing up and pitching for 5 to 7 minutes maximum, and the pitch is your proposal. What you're telling the investors that you'll be using the funds for, you need to propose at least 2 strategies that Threads can use to implement to ensure that they're successful in the future. Now remember, these strategies need to be in response to the modern forces that you've done, and you have to explain how they can use these strategies to be really successful. When you're thinking about the company Threads, you might want to consider their production side. Remember, they also manufacture their clothes. You may want to consider the way that they market their business, and you also may want to consider some new trends that are happening in the business and consumer world and have those part of your strategies. For the pitch, there are to be no palm cards. We want you to be really engaging and persuasive. You're not allowed to have any notes or even your laptop open so you can read through your laptop. You can have a presentation, and we actually encourage you to have a slide presentation up. But remember, don't just keep on reading off your presentation. Face your audience. Throughout your proposal, if it's relevant, do refer to other real-life business examples. Make sure you cite all your research throughout the pitch, and keep on referring back to the case study, the Threads case study. So reread over it so you understand the business really well. As you go throughout your pitch, if you're referring to research, you need to cite that in a verbal way, and we'll teach you that through our guru session.
Let's chat about the presentation part. As a consultant, so I want you to imagine Threads is hiring you as a consultant. Your professionalism and the way you present your work has to be of a certain standard, and how you persuade people through your pitching is also really important. So let's just chat about the 2 elements that Mrs. Sassine and I would really love you to nail. And question 1 and question 2 is a report structure. So one more time, it's a report structure. So you'll need to be using headings and subheadings, business terminology, and if you would like to complement your work with a diagram or tables, we're more than happy for you to do that as well. And then for the final section, for your pitch, we've done this in class a few times. You're more than welcome to use Slide Carnival to make your slides as engaging as you would like.
Just remember that there are penalties for late submissions, so make sure you submit it on time, and that if you do have a reason for extension, that needs to be submitted to the learning leader, which is Mr. Besson. As part of this task, there will be a student reflection, which contributes towards your mark, so you'll be asked to complete this following your pitch. We're really interested in the way that you reflect on your learning, so you'll have to complete this full page. including all of the sentences, and then you'll have to sign it and submit it towards the end. And then we'll provide you this. This is our evaluation, so we'll provide you comments on what you think you did really well and what would be even better if you did something additional in your presentation and your business report. So let's move to the marking criteria. We want to focus on just the extensive part. On the far left in the grey is the various kind of skills and knowledge we're looking at. And on the far right are some tips on how to improve that. So we encourage you to read this in detail, in particular the first band here, the extensive. So the first thing we're looking at is just your understanding of the modern forces, the way you express the elements of modern business forces. And so we're looking for a very detailed description of the forces, including all definitions of the sub-factors of the force. We want you to use relevant and detailed examples of how the force is shaping the modern business world. We're also looking at the impact of modern forces on businesses and how will you convey the influence of a particular force, the way that a particular force has an impact on threats. So we want you to clearly identify and outline the range of opportunities and threats for threads from the modern business forces that we have. Remember, we have 3 forces that we discuss in our modern business topic. Each point that you discuss needs to be informed by detailed research. So that's your evidence. So each point you have for opportunities and threats needs to have evidence there. You need to clearly and in detail link the opportunity that you've identified to its specific impact for threats, may it be on sales or profit. And that's for both opportunities and threats. You need to be really clear in your link in there and have detail.
So in terms of threads analysis, this is the way that your strategies are informed by modern business thinking and how deeply you consider the impact of these forces on threads. So we would be expecting for an extensive that you have a detailed and relevant ideas and that you're really highlighting the relationship between the strategies that you're using and the 2 forces that you've chosen for threads. So I want you to be really consistent and really thoughtful. And I want you to make sure that you're relating this to real life examples and that you think about how the strategies that you're, as a consultant, that you're recommending could really help the success of the business threads for the future.
Of course, you need to use a lot of evidence. We want a lot of your ideas to come from research, so make sure you use heaps of evidence and keep on referring back to that evidence consistently throughout both your business report and your pitch. And all of your evidence needs to be referenced, and it needs to be referenced using the Harvard referencing style. That includes both in-text and a reference list. Please ask us for help, and we will have a guru session on Harvard referencing.
So in terms of communication, as I've mentioned previously, there's 2 types of communication that we expect: a business report type communication, which is written, and obviously your verbal communication through your pitch. Take this as a proper job. Pretend that you're actually a consultant. So I want professionalism. I want you to be persuasive, not only in your verbal pitch, but also in your writing style. So think about a couple of things. So when you're pitching, think about the way that you're facing us, eye contact, your body language. Are you being inviting? And think about, in terms of your written component, is the report using proper headings, subheadings, tables? And last but not least, when you are verbalizing through your pitch, make sure you have conviction when you speak. Memorize, rehearse, so we believe what you're saying.
Finally is the reflection part. Remember that learning is ongoing throughout the entire year. So past the assessment task, we want you to really think deeply about your learning and how it went, and we want you to fill in that reflection sheet with a positive growth mindset about how you can improve in the future. So that brings us to the end of the task. If you have any questions, please ask us in class. We will be collating the frequently asked questions and putting them into Google Docs, so you can always go back to those frequently asked questions as well. Thank you so much, and we look forward to hearing all your amazing ideas for threads.
Good luck.